Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Firewood at the Furnace. My name is Brad. If it's your first time here, glad to have you back on this sunny, beautiful Wednesday morning again here in Maryland. Temperatures have been in the mid-60s to mid-70s, somewhere in there, so really nice weather here leading into the fall. So we had an exciting weekend this past weekend. Chaz is officially hitched. He is married now, and he is, the wedding was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, everything went perfectly. People had a great time. It was beautiful. And we had to kind of nudge people on out the door at the end of the night. So that tells you right there that everybody had a really good time. But drop some comments down below. Chaz watches these videos, and make sure you congratulate him and his beautiful bride, Shanna, the new Mrs. Blanford. That was a lot of anticipation leading up to that event this past weekend, and it went off very successful. But anyway, for today's video, the bundle stand is empty for like the third time this week. The wind is blowing, so I'm trying to stay out of the wind for you today. It's really, I'm not even going to call it breezy, it's windy. But on last week's video, I told you that I was going to show you something new that we brought home from the Paul Bunyan show that we were going to try out to see how it works, and I think I've got some stuff set up to show you, so we'll have a good test of it today. And I'll show you a pile of logs that we've been working on, so stick around. So before the questions start, I didn't realize when I filmed the intro that there was a little sneak peek of this in there, and everybody's wondering if Brad got an excavator for the yard. And the answer to that question is no. This was a borrowed machine. My mom had a little problem with some drainage lines in her yard, so I had to bring this over and do a little excavating for her, replace a pipe. That's going back to its owner here today. But you remember last week we had this load of logs over here that I showed you that we had to get to. There's that wind. And I've been working on that this week, so I got a pretty good hunk of that load cut up. It was all the way over against the splitter, if you remember. I'll throw a picture in here from last week. But we're probably 3/4 of the way through that pile now. And I've got some rounds staged up over here. And that's going to lead into today's video. So let me show you this. So as I was cutting up these rounds the other day here in the yard, I kind of tried to separate things by diameter. And over here we've got some of the smaller stuff that's anywhere from 8 to 10 inches in diameter in this pile here. This is kind of the mid-grade wood that's anywhere from, 10 to 12 inches here, 13 inches. And then in the back, towards the back of this pile, we've got the bigger wood, and it's anywhere from 18 to 22 inches. Some of that locust and oak back there is a little bit bigger. So that stuff in the back is obviously perfect size for box wedge, for the 7-way box wedge. But as you know, sometimes with the box wedge, you have to take the good with the bad. Some people don't like the box wedge because they say it makes too much of a mess. I argue that point by saying you make up for that mess by the speed of production that you make the firewood in. So it's a kind of a give and take situation with that, and it's not exclusive to one manufacturer or another. It's just the general nature of that style wedge. But I do get a lot of this stuff in now that I'm able to be more selective with the wood that I bring in. I'm getting the longer, straighter poles now, anywhere from, say, 10 to 20 inches in diameter. And this smaller stuff here that's only about, this one here is 9.5, this one here is 10. This kind of stuff would be perfect for a 6-way wedge. Now, I don't have a 6-way wedge, or I didn't have a 6-way wedge. I only had the 4-way and the box. But I've often wondered when I get this kind of wood, and I throw it through the 7-way box wedge, it's really not necessary. You end up getting more scraps. The ratio from scraps to actual firewood goes down when you're running smaller stuff through the box wedge. So my idea was if I could get a 6-way box wedge and separate this stuff, get a good pile of it, then it would make sense for me to change wedges, throw the 6-way on, and bust all this stuff through in one pass. So I'm putting an 8 or 10 inch piece in the box wedge and having to cycle the splitter 2 or 3 times to get it through. It's really not necessary if you've got a 6-way one push through the wedge, and you're done. So that's what we're going to try today. We're going to run some wood through the box wedge to start with. Then we're going to swap out the wedges, put the 6-way on, and push this stuff through. All right, all the equipment is fired up, the Eastonmade STK24 and the Eastonmade 1222. We're going to get the conveyor going here, and the first thing we're going to split through the 7-way box wedge is, it's about 21 inches in diameter, and it's locust. So we're going to push some of this through the box wedge, and then we'll make the switch. All right, we got most of that big stuff already pushed through the box wedge there, and everything that's left is like 8 to 12 inches in diameter. So we filled the first trailer up, trying to stay out of the wind for you. First trailer is filled up right there, and we move the second trailer into place so that we can finish this job today. So we'll get the wedges switched out and get the 6-way on and start pushing some wood. stop for a second to show you all what we got. That was just about 9 minutes of splitting. 9 minutes. And we've filled the front of the trailer up already. It's just about time to move the truck forward a little bit. But I would just say that it goes to show you that if you take the time to separate the diameter of your wood and you use the proper wedge for the diameter wood that you're splitting, it makes life so much quicker. So I think from now on what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it just like I did here. And you can see over there there's quite a few more logs that are going to be perfect size for this 6-way. So from now on, when I'm cutting, I'm going to put the big stuff on one side, the smaller stuff, and I think when I say smaller stuff, I mean anything like 8 to 12 or 14 inches, somewhere in there. I think is great for the 6-way. And everything like 15, 16 inches diameter and up, I'll just say for the box wedge. But yeah, I think I'm liking it. One push and up the conveyor it goes. All right, so everything from this morning that was cut over here has been split. We got some more wood to cut here, so that'll be the next order of business here probably tomorrow. But everything's been split with the exception of this wood over here. That's going to be candy for the axis because it is sassafras. And I don't split sassafras into my heating wood. That will all become bundle wood, campfire wood. So, all in all, obviously we finished up with the box wedge on that bigger stuff at the bottom, but we split everything that was up to about 10 inches with the 6-way, and it did wonderful. All right, so the wind has just been relentless here today. I'm trying to stay out of it for you here. Hopefully we didn't get too much wind noise in the audio while I was talking here today, but you can see how much we got done on the second trailer load there behind me. The 6-way wedge, I think the lesson learned for me anyway today is the right tool for the right job, right? So the box wedge is great. Everybody knows that I am a huge fan of the box wedge, but once in a while, more often now, I'm getting some of this 8, 10, 11 inch diameter logs coming in, and when you can push them through one time on that 6-way, I think it makes a big difference. It makes quicker. There's no sense in cycling the splitter 2 or 3 times for a round that you can push through once with the proper wedge. Don't know who that was, but people wave to me all the time going by here. So yeah, that's the lesson for me. Let me know in the comments which size wedge you use for which size diameter wood. I'm curious to know because I'm learning too. So moving forward, I am going to continue to separate the wood, I think. I'll stack up my 6-way rounds and I'll stack up my box wedge rounds, and when I get a good pile of 6-way rounds, I'll go ahead and take the time to switch out the wedges and make it quick. So don't forget to leave some comments below for my buddy Chaz today, congratulating him on his wedding this past weekend. What a great time it was. I know I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but for those of you who missed it, figured I'd say something at the end. That's it for today. We'll see you next Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Until then, I hope you all have a great week.